Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can't trust a forward. Listen to my words tonight. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling and dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees.
Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern-day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, I get no respect.
And now, Weiss Johnson presents Struddy's World. Here's your host, a man described by his teammates as being good on the ice, great in the room, but a little shy in the steam room. Jason Strudwick.
Yeah, I think that'll stick with me for a while, wearing a towel in a steam room, my own steam room at home. Welcome in, everybody. It is go time. That's right. We've been sitting here waiting for this to happen. Tonight, we have game 1. We have Carolina and, of course, Florida Panthers. Then tomorrow, Dallas Oilers. And we're here to get you organized. I'm going to get you feeling good about the Oilers D and their PK. The show is brought to you by our good friends over at Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. And they're doing a great job supporting an incredible cause. They're going to host their annual golf tournament in support of the Down Syndrome Society. June 3rd, the Ranch Golf and Country Club. They'd love to see you there. Only a few spots left. Get your team in. You're going to have a great time. All the proceeds will go directly to the Society's effort to meet the evolving needs of the Down syndrome community. To purchase tickets, email our good buddy Dennis at info@weiss-johnson.com. Hit it.
Hold
Where's
on,
the jingle?
you surprised me. You surprised me. Here it is.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
There it is. Let Dennis know, and just a few spots left, so you want to get in there and join them early June. We love the golf tournaments here in Edmonton. Lots to get to today, obviously. We'll have Ryan Rishaug coming up before he jumps on a flight down to Dallas. Jamie McLennan will join us, of course, Zubes. But I'm here in my home office, the space I like to call the Adrenaline Diesel home office studio. Adrenaline Diesel is a Caterpillar recognized and authorized dealer and repair facility. For expert service for your CAT engine, visit adrenalinediesel.ca. Jam-packed show, Zubie. Good to see you, buddy. We got lots to get to. We have Leafs clearing out their situation table. We'll get to some of that and playing the field. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit of NFL. Could they have people, their players in the Olympics? I can't wait to hear that. Then getting off the fence, Zubie, I believe people have been approaching this the wrong way with the Leafs. We'll evaluate what's going on in their post game with yourself, me, Shagra, of course, Noodles. But people, I think we're being too hard on the Leafs players. I'll explain that on Get Off the Fence in about 35 minutes time. Zoobs, lots of action in the playoffs, obviously, starting up tonight.
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of Carolina, and I know kind of the narrative out there is that they're boring. They take exception to that. I've seen lots on social media. I think they could surprise. I think everyone's kind of writing them off, and just with that moniker, they're boring, and Florida's going to be too much for them. I think Carolina could surprise. I think maybe they advance, or at least it's a 7-game series.
And they're going to be fresh. So that one starts tonight. Today, the Oilers are making their way down to Dallas to get ready for their game 1, which is tomorrow. They play there Wednesday, Friday, then back home Sunday for a 1:00 game. We'll have all the post game Got Your Back pods. But yesterday, Leon Draisaitl, as we saw earlier from McDavid, was questioned about the Oilers' defense, and are they able to, not their defensemen, but the defense, are they able to defend well enough? Let's hear what Leon had to say when he was asked about the idea, are they a good enough defending team?
Yeah, very confident. I mean, I don't know how many times we need to answer these questions. Like, we've been a really good defensive team for years now, and these questions are, are we going to give up a couple more goals than we like to every now and then? Yes, of course, every team does. League's too hard to just shut out every team and just give up 1 or 2 goals. So these games are going to happen, but we're a good structured defensive team that can defend really well.
They are. So, Zubie, this is what I believe to be true. This team has evolved as a good defensive team. We've seen them pitch some absolute gems. Case in point, when they blew out, or didn't blow out, but they shut it down against Vegas and got that win, and both 2 shutouts the last 2 games. This is what happens, people, is that we as viewers, we're watching the games, and there are nights where your overall team defense isn't that sound, and it gets away from you, and it looks bad, and it blows up, and it implodes. But you know what? Every team in the history of hockey, from NHL all the way down to U7, has had that experience. So they bring it back up, and they get it dialed back in. Doesn't mean they can't do it. It means they had an off day, just like a goalie, a pitcher, a quarterback, a coach, referee. We all have off days with our spouses. So, Zubie, this team can defend. It's just that sometimes it gets away with them, or gets away from them, like it happens with every single team in sport.
And I wonder if the propensity of this team in the past to outscore their defensive mistakes then kind of amplifies it when they have defensive breakdowns and lose. I wonder if that's part of the issue of why people always seem so confounded when they do defend well.
Yeah, I think I agree, because it does. They historically they're a team that wanted to blow people out, and I think that when they lost, I think for the first time to Vegas, I think that really hurt them, and I think they're like, okay, what do we need to do? Look at the case in point. Last round, the last 2 games, Leon Draisaitl was on a checking line essentially,
Yeah.
and to task to stop the other team's top player. That's what they did, and it worked. And he was happy to do it. Do you want to know why? Because he won. They won the game. They won the series, and that's ultimately all they wanted to get to. Now, it sounds like Matthias Ekholm, we saw Shoggy put together a video the other day. We saw him skating. He practiced with the full team yesterday. From what I saw the video, he looked like he was moving pretty well. This is important for the Oilers in one massive area. During the regular season, Matthias Ekholm, even though he missed quite a few games, was one of the leaders in short time or penalty kill time. He was second to only Emerson. Emerson led the team now in penalty kill minutes. Now Ekholm missed a lot of games. So far this year in the playoffs, the 2 guys that are clearly ahead are Kulak and Nurse, and then it's Wallman and Bouchard, and then Emerson, who's currently not playing much, but he's 5th. So it went Emerson, Kulak, Ekholm, Nurse in the regular season. So when he comes back, I believe this will be huge for their penalty kill. I'm thinking back to the 2 goals that were scored when Eichel in round 2 zipped it back door, and the plays that Kulak made there. I think Ekholm would have played those differently. I don't think that we would have seen those same opportunities, because Ekholm is a really good penalty killer, very smart. Not suggesting Kulak's not, but we've seen him snub out those cross-site passes before. So we haven't seen him in the playoffs for the PK yet. So I think that Ekholm coming back, it'd be great for him to play with Bouchard, but Zubes, him coming back, and what it'll mean to the Oilers PK against a team that has a really good power play right now in Dallas, this is huge. And I think we haven't, as fans and media, talked about this enough.
Those are the 2 Olofsson power play goals, I believe, from Eichel.
Right.
Beautiful goals. Now, do you feel like Ekholm coming back at, say, 85 or 90%, as we expect, no one comes back from an injury at 100%, him coming back at that percentage-ish, is he the biggest improvement to the penalty kill? Like, is he helping the penalty kill even more than he's helping 5-on-5 by being back?
I think it will. And then this is the good news for Oilers fans. Mobility isn't the most important thing when you're killing penalties. Trust me, I know. I killed for a long time. So it's about being in the right place, anticipating what the other team's trying to do, and having your stick and or body in the passing/shooting lanes. And Ekholm gets that. And so you don't have to be huge. Think about last year in the playoffs. Ekholm, Desharnais. Darren A isn't exactly, David Pelche on his feet getting all over the ice. And that's no disrespect to Vinny. And Ekholm is pretty good, but he's not Quinn Hughes. But they take up space, they've got good sticks, and they're in the way. And that PK was dynamite with those two guys back there. So I'm interested to see when he does come back. We've seen Bouchard's minutes on the PK go up a lot. Does he continue to kill penalties beside Ekholm? That'll be really interesting as we look ahead, Zubes.
Yeah, you know what? I was just kind of doubling back to this whole the McDavid, both the McDavid and Draisaitl responses to being asked this question that they're tired of being asked it. I was wondering, I was thinking about you. Does it ever get under your skin when you meet people and they're surprised how handsome you are? And they're like, oh, I knew that you were funny, but I had no idea you were this handsome. You're like, all right, enough. We've established that. Is it kind of the same thing?
It always makes me feel good when they say, we thought you'd have less hair. I'm like, oh, well, that's a very nice thing to say. Come see me in 3 or 4 years. I'll be completely bald, competing with Jason Gregor on there. Again, listen, the team D, the overall team defense, it'll slip at times, but it's the ability to bring it back, which is important for any championship team. That Ekholm's return is going to be huge on the penalty kill. Even if he's not at 100%, those are two areas that I think we really got to focus on looking ahead into the series that starts tomorrow. We'll have a post game right after. All right, now it's time to let's get up to speed now with our good buddy Ryan Rishaug, brought to you by Timberhouse Developments. When you become part of the Timberhouse family, you might be surprised just how close you'll get to the people in the process. Most builders try to keep the customers at arm's length once the build starts, not Timberhouse. If you want to check in on things, no problem. Stop by the job site. Want to chat with the crew at the head office? Stop by anytime. They have amazing coffee. Check them out at timberhouse.ca, and they're really pushing the steam showers after how I brought it up last time. Shogger, welcome to the show. You look very nice. You heard what I've talked about Ekholm's impact will really be felt on the PK, I feel. Do you agree, disagree? Do you see other areas he may help even more?
Yeah, for sure he's going to help. No question. And I think, from what I saw, he looked like he was moving pretty well. They're kind of saying that game, well, they're not really even saying, but our sense is that game 5 range, give or take. But I think it's also going to matter where they're at in the series, Struds. Like if the Oilers are up 3-1 in a series, I don't know you're going to bring them back in a game 5 scenario. I think a little bit of a break glass in case of emergency. I think the longer you give him, the better. But 100%, the penalty kill is an area where he's going to help out. In front of the net, an area where he's going to help out. He's a veteran guy. He raises his game in these situations. So yeah, I think it'd be big in a number of different fronts for them. And the penalty kill in particular, although I do like the fact that they've tasked Evan Bouchard with adding that to his game. And I think that him playing the quality of defense that he's been playing lately, I don't know, you tell me. If you're asked to go out there and kill penalties, if that doesn't maybe unlock something in your thought process, unlock something in your, the understanding they believe in you as a defender, and maybe you round out your defensive game a little bit, because I feel like his defensive game from earlier in the playoffs has gotten better and better and better as they go here. And not that he was terrible.
Oops, Shogger. Oh, we lost you for a second there, Shogger. You want to finish that?
I don't know if one's connected to the other, Struds. Trust to kill penalties and an uptick in your overall defensive game.
Yeah, I think what I would say is that the habits that and the thought process of defending hard in the PK, it bleeds into your other game, because you're like, hey, you're mentally like, I've got to be really hard here, good sticks, on my toes, being aggressive, and that bleeds into the rest of your game. So I think it's a really important. And I honestly, guys, I won't be surprised if Bouchard gets an opportunity to kill beside Ekholm when they have the full group back together. Maybe is it Nurse Kulak and then Bouchard Ekholm? That leaves Wallman on the outside, who's been killing penalties as well and doing, a pretty decent job, especially in the second round. Unfortunately, I'm going to challenge Rob Brown here, and he and I got into a little bit of debate talking about the secondary scoring for the Dallas Stars. And, he felt that the Oilers secondary scoring was stronger than the Stars secondary scoring. So let's just take out Mikko Rantanen, let's take out Leon and Connor, and then kind of leave everybody else.
Okay.
over the course of the season, we'll count Mikko just for this. They had 5 players. Rupe Hintz was 28, so I'll pretend it's enough. 5 players score 30 plus goals this year. The Oilers had 1, just 1. So I understand Kane didn't score. Would he have got 30? We'll never know. Trent Frederick, not a 30 goal scorer. He wasn't there. But I do feel, and this is going to make the old Oilers fans' pills squeak a little bit when they go to sleep tonight. I think that the ability to score, the depth is much stronger. They haven't shown it as much in the playoffs, but the Stars' ability to score, they're dynamic. Robertson, Wyatt Johnson, Matt Duchene, Mikko Rantanen. They have a ton of guys that can really score easier because of the skill they have than the Oilers' secondary scoring. What are your thoughts, big guy?
Yeah, I think Ryan Marsh made a good point on Got Your Back the other night when he talked about some of the Dallas scorers as being streaky. So they've got some guys that get hot and they get super hot, right? Robertson can be like that. Johnson can be like that a little bit. And so maybe some of their guys that haven't yet got really hot, haven't quite heated up yet. And is there potential for them to catch on and put a few in for sure? But I mean, if you look at what are you more focused on, Struds? Who did what during the regular season, or who's doing what so far in the playoffs? And maybe that's where the breakdown is, or the disagreement is. Like Matt Duchene hasn't scored a goal yet. Donoff has 1. Ben has 1. You go down the list. Heiskanen, who just got back, hasn't scored yet. He's only played 3 games. Granlund has 4, but 3 of those all came in 1 game. So, maybe there were guys that spread out over 82 games, had nice contributions, but haven't yet hit in the same way. Whereas the Oilers, they have guys who have contributed at a greater rate than they did during the regular season, who have elevated their game in the playoffs and are producing in a better way now in the case of some of them. So I would say quality of play these playoffs, confidence, how they're feeling. I would think the Edmonton depth players feel every bit as confident, if not more, than Dallas is, who some of them are still waiting to find it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. There's no doubt about it, but there's always that ability for them to break free, right? They're break free. Yeah. But, and I made this point the other night, and Brownie, he said it well. The Winnipeg Jets were a physical team. I think the Oilers are a physical team. But let's keep in mind, Dallas has had 2 hard-fought series, really hard, and the wear and tear does start to happen. So the investment in hits the Jets did last series, the Oilers could reap the benefit of that heading into this series if they continue to get after. Now, Heiskanen's pretty fresh, but those other D, some of them aren't super mobile. Now, obviously Harley and Heiskanen are very elite mobile, but Cody Ceci, Esa Lindell, keep putting bodies on him up front. Yep. Johnson's not a big guy. Robbie Robertson or Jason Robertson, he's not a big guy. Matt Duchene's not a big guy. These types of guys aren't big. So I think that coming out and being physical on these guys early, maybe even, dare I say, take a couple penalties on them just to get their heads up into it, will get them a little bit, keep wearing them down. But also, Schauger, you look at Jamie Benn and, of course, Marchment. Those 2 guys, if they feel there needs to be some policing to do, they'll be distracted with trying to do that rather than getting physical on the Oilers or chasing guys around. So I think that this is a real opportunity for the Oilers to come down heavy and hard on the Stars, continue what was started in the previous series of the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, look, as has been pointed out to me by the head coach, the Oilers lose most of the games where they out-hit their opponent. So it's not necessarily their style, but I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek here, Struds. Like, I agree. Lay the body, be physical. The Oilers have the horses to do it now, wear down those defensemen. It's a better investment in a playoff series, and you guys make a very fair point. If you start doing it game 42 of the regular season and you don't see that team for another 3 weeks, it's a lot different, as opposed to knowing this is the group of D-men you got to play against game after game. So yes, Zach Hyman, keep doing it. I'll tell you what, pound for pound, Kasperi Kapanen is, for me, technically the best hitter the Oilers have. He's fast, he gets there, and he understands leverage. He's an awesome hitter for me. He knows how to do it. So he can't do it enough. Podkolzin, not quite as stylish with it, but excellent physical player. So I 100% agree. This is a big advantage for the Oilers. It would be silly not to take advantage of it and to lean in physically and try and make this Dallas team uncomfortable. Make Jamie Benn feel like he's got to play outside of himself and try and overcompensate. Make Mason Marchment feel like we can't be letting this happen to us and get outside of himself. it's advantage Edmonton big time.
Shogger, great stuff, buddy. I know you got to run to get on a flight, so have a good flight. We'll talk to you post game tomorrow. You'll be in Dallas, and we'll be back here trying to sort it out.
Sounds good. There is a media availability today in Dallas, by the way. A bunch of the players are talking and such. And I was in that scrum yesterday with Draisaitl Struds. This is getting a little weird. It's getting a little bizarre. They're manufacturing a chip on their shoulder that doesn't need to be there. Like, the questions these guys are being asked are about how good they are defensively, and they're getting their backs up and they're getting defensive. Like McDavid the other night with Nugent Bowman, I kind of understand it. You know, I understand it more with McDavid. Jason Gregor could not have been more complimentary to Leon Draisaitl. How confident are you with your defensive game? And they're acting like we're challenging them like they don't know how to play defense. It's this us against the world thing. And they're manufacturing this one. This is a nothing burger they're choosing to get upset at. And I mean, if that's what they want to do for motivation and us against the world and all that, that's fine. But bottom line, your power play goes 5 for 5. We're going to ask you about the power play and how good it is. When you're really good defensively and don't give up a goal for 2 games, we're going to ask you about that too. And they're choosing to get offended by that, which I think is kind of funny.
I like it. And they're taking it they're taking their defensive play personally. And I like that. Yeah. It's on the tip of the top of their brain, the tip of their tongue, whatever you want to say it. So
sure.
I love it. I love it, buddy. Okay, buddy. Have a safe flight and have a nice nap on there. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good, buddy. Have a great show. See ya.
Thank you. It's Ryan Rishaug, everybody, for getting up to speed by our good buddies at Timber House Developments. All right, Zubes, let's duck out here. When we come back, we'll have Jamie McLennan from TSN join us. We also have our playing the field. We'll talk about the Leafs a day off or at last day, their availabilities, talk about some changes to the NFL policy on players going to Olympics, and then getting off your fence. We'll talk about why I believe the Leafs were misunderstood as a group. And then from them, ask us or ask Struddy anything. We love hearing from you. A good stream today. Keep those questions coming in on YouTube, Zubie.
You bet. Yes. Get your questions in. Put AUA in the subject line there. Makes it easy for me to find, and we'll get to some of those. Certainly still got some great comments. So we've got a few spots available still for some questions, so get them in.
Okay, let's pause here quick. When we come back, Jamie McLennan will join us.
Dennis here, Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
Welcome back to the show. Time now is for Struddy's Buddy, brought to you by HSC Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSC Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. From creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislation and core requirements, HSC Core supports clients' operations every step of the way. Visit www.hsccore.com. That's HSECOR.com for more info. And there he is, the man himself, Jamie McLennan from TSN, and recently bowled a 107. Congrats, Noodles. I saw you put that on Instagram. You're really happy. Is there any joy in Ontario and Toronto today, or are people just very saddened by the big loss?
Well, you can see I'm wearing black, so it's Black Armband Day today in Toronto. And I want to address the bowling comment because I'm not a great bowler. My fingers are very long and thin, and the balls don't fit properly. So I usually have a few gutter balls, and then it's right down the middle. I'll dominate. But I've got the hair like a Big Earn in Kingpin. So do you, actually. That's both of us have Big Earn hair right now. So that's why you're a good bowler. I'm working on my game. Put it that way.
Noodles, the Leafs lose in pretty dramatic fashion. booed for a good period of third period, tossed over jerseys. I mean, probably it couldn't have gone worse, those last 2 home games. When you look back at that series, you know, the Leafs had a good start, really good start to it. What got away from them that maybe they didn't know, didn't learn, or didn't have to win that series?
Well, I think the competitive nature of their top guys, and it's not a shot at them. It's just they're wired differently. So I look at it 2 things. I think the Leafs started fantastic, but I also think that Florida started poorly. So that's another thing that, you know, Florida had beat Tampa in 5 games, and I thought they maybe took the foot off the gas in the first couple games. Broski was no good in game 1. In game 2, he allowed the game winner to Mitch Marner, which I didn't think was a good goal. So he'd allowed 9 goals in 2 games. And by my calculations, at least 4 or 5 were bad. So Florida got their game in order. They started to work harder, play with a system, you know, play with that structure and hit you in waves. They were so aggressive. And I look at the Maple Leafs, they didn't have many answers after that. So they played a perfect game. I will say the Maple Leafs played a perfect game in game 6, where they didn't allow any inner slot shots, and they allowed 3 decent chances. Outside of that, they were unbelievable, blocking everything. Florida adjustment from game 5 to game 7 was the same game. Aggressiveness, forcing the Leafs to play in their own zone. And when push came to shove, their top players were unable to push through. That's 7 game 7s in a row that the Toronto Maple Leafs have lost. 5 of them, they've only scored 1 goal in those games. So when you look at it, yes, they were a very talented team, but their top players were unable to break through when it mattered most. And that's unfortunate because, yeah, you can lay it at the feet of the goaltending and maybe special teams here or there. But in the end, you know, I look at Nylander, I look at Marner, and I look at Matthews. Those guys did not play to their capabilities in a playoff game, in playoff series, the last 3 games for the most part. I know Matthews scored the game winner in game 6, but in game 5 and game 7, it was complete domination, and their top players were nowhere to be found.
After watching his team lose in 7 games, will Craig Berube, in your opinion, have more of a say of what the personnel looks like on this team?
I would say yes, but I also I guess we need to answer the question, who's driving the bus for next year? And what I mean by that is Brendan Shanahan's contract is up in June. So is he still the guy that's running the show? And then is he the guy over top of Brad Treliving and helping pull the trigger on some of these deals? Or is Brad Treliving going to get the keys to the car? And then he'll have input from the head coach as to who he wants to coach and who he doesn't. So I think there's a lot of questions to be answered that haven't been answered yet. It's only, 48 hours since the awful ass beating. But it's, for me, it's those questions have come from the top. But I would argue that it might be addition by subtraction, really, because John Tavares controls his future. So does Mitch Marner. So they might not be back just because they might choose a different situation. We don't know that. We'll have to wait to see what happens. But look at it. This team will look different next year. I guarantee you that.
It's hard to believe, but the NHL will continue without the Leafs in the finals. So let's look at the Panthers and the Canes. The Canes get no respect. They are literally the Rodney Dangerfield of the NHL. Can they beat the Panthers, and how?
Okay, so they might be able to beat the Panthers at their own game. You talk about detail, structure, goaltending. I mean, I look at this Carolina team. There's no weakness. You could argue that Freddie Anderson might be slightly, but he's been unbelievable for them in the playoffs. His biggest challenge has just been health. If he's healthy, he gives them really good goaltending. So Jacob Slavin could be probably one of the best defensemen in the league. Like if you actually had a definition of a defenseman, he might be number 1. Not a guy who scores points, but a guy who prevents points against. They got 4 lines that roll. And that Stankoven's a really good little player. It's just, he's not Rantanen. And we forget our old buddy, or your old buddy, but I would like to say that he's at least an acquaintance. Taylor Hall is there, and he's played very well for them, right? Like, I look at it, and they've got some really good players. They just don't have the cachet of the superstars, but they work hard. So if Florida thinks that they're just going to show up and hey, we won the cup last year and Carolina's going to hand it to them, they are going to have to fight for every piece of ice because Carolina's going to try and do what Florida did to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think, they mirror their coach, Rod Brindamore. So they're not going to take a shift off. They're going to make you earn it, and they're not going to beat themselves. Put it that way.
Obviously, the Dallas and Oilers get going Wednesday. If the Oilers don't do blank, that'll be the unraveling for them in the series. So what would have to the Oilers do wrong or Dallas do really well for the Oilers to not win this series?
I know this is a lazy statement, and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl might scissor kick for me for it because they've been tired of asked this question, but they would have to defend, and I would say continue to defend. That's the difference because when I look at it, Connor wasn't wrong to be chippy because they do know how to defend. They do know how to play. And same thing with Leon. Leon's like, I'm tired of answering this question. It's not answering the question. You just asked me, what do they need to do? I would say continue to defend well because we know physically they can impose their will on Dallas. I think from a skill standpoint, we all know their top end skill is probably the best players. Not probably, they are the best players in the series. So it's defending, and they need saves from Stuart Skinner and or Calvin Pickard or a combination of both. So I think that's what it's a continuation of the way you've been defending. I thought they were fantastic against Vegas, and the last couple games against LA, they were elite. So just continue that hard work and determination working away from the puck.
Is there any concern about the kind of the depth of scoring that Dallas has? I haven't shown it yet, but guys like Robertson, Ben, Duchesne, the guy they loves to call himself the Duke, these types of guys, because Mikko's been doing most of the scoring. Can these guys, if they do wake up, that would be a pretty big challenge for this.
100%, because you're right. Matt Duchesne hasn't put his stamp in the playoffs yet. Neither is Jamie Benn. You go right down the line. There's other guys that contribute. So a lot like the Edmonton Oilers, they have guys that can score on any given night. What you need to do is make sure that they don't break through. And one thing, Struddy, I would even add to if you want, they've got to find a solution for Jake Ottinger. Because Jake Ottinger, just like they were able to get to Darcy Kemper. Darcy Kemper is a Vezina finalist for me, and is a fantastic goaltender. And then you look at Aiden Hill, who won a Stanley Cup a couple years ago. They were able to get to both those goaltenders. They got to Aiden Hill by bullying him, by getting into the crease and actually getting under his skin. They got to Darcy Kemper by scoring a bunch of goals on him. You got to find a way. You might have to do a little bit of both with Jake Ottinger, because Ottinger's another level than those two right now in the playoffs. So that's coupling both things. But I do agree with you. The depth of the Dallas Stars could scare the Edmonton Oilers fan base if they start to wake up. But it comes back to how they defend and how they goaltend.
Noodles, I appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy the show today at 2:00 here in Edmonton for Overdrive. I imagine it'll be about as much fun as Awake.
It might be. I've got my pop and chips ready. We're ready to go.
Okay, bye. Talk to you later. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
You bet. We'll chat later.
The great Jamie McLennan, Struddy's buddy. What an absolute beauty. And he makes good points. And Brownie made the good points too. That depth scoring hasn't figured it out yet for the Stars. But if they do, it's going to be a bit harder. But I do think that just continuing to hit, because they're smaller bodies, Duchesne, Robertson, Wyatt Johnson, they're not huge bodies. Keep putting the body on those guys, make it uncomfortable for them to get and score.
And I like the point that you made about that, we know Winnipeg's big and heavy, the work that they've already done for the Oilers in a 6-game series. And we talked about, as I call it now, the Zubie matrix, about going 7 games in the first round. Dallas is the only team of the Final Four who did that. So it's been they're very good. They're equipped. Can they do it? Of course they can. But I think they've had the toughest road to this point of the Final Four.
For sure.
When will that start to show? And
I think that's why tomorrow you got to come after them quick if the Oilers. Get on them early and make them understand this can be a hard, heavy, fast series, just like they've already played 2 of. All right, Zubies, let's step out here quick. When we come back, we'll get back to playing the field and getting off the fence. Lots of NHL talk coming up, including some NFL chatter. Stay with us.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today. If you're considering a vinyl fence, don't be fooled by cheap marketplace imitations. Get top quality vinyl fence from a trusted company with 20 years in the industry. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, check out dlrvinylproducts.ca.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Jason Strudwick. You've got Chris Sabunia with us as well. Thanks for joining us. Tell a friend if you're enjoying what you're hearing. We love putting the show together. We'll be back to Wednesdays next week. Time now to play the field, brought to you by our good buddies at Play Alberta. Love to play, but want to keep it fun? Play Alberta makes it easy to set limits on deposits and game time, so you can use your game sense and stay in control while still having fun. Whether you're betting on sports or trying your luck at the tables, play safe, play smart, and play your way. Learn more at playalberta.ca. All right, Zubie, we got to get into this whole Leafs thing. Today was the day they clean out their lockers, and it's always hard, especially a team that thinks that they should be able to go to the Stanley Cup final. So we kind of talked about what went wrong with Noodles just past, but I think that we have to look forward and what could be for this team. Mitch Marner is a guy that is a free agent along with John Tavares. I think it's going to be a challenge for one or both those guys to stay because they're going to want to change up the mix. And I want to get into the head coach, Craig Berube. He spoke today. And let's get into the sound box, brought to you by Douglas Mattresses. If you're like me, you know there's nothing better than a good night's sleep after a long day. Your best sleep is just around the corner. With every mattress here, including a free sleep bundle that includes 2 memory foam pillows, a complete set of luxury sheets, and more. Visit the Douglas Mattress Store in Manchester Square. I've been there, and it was awesome. Check them out at douglas.ca/GYB. So here's Craig Berube on what he thought went wrong or didn't go right for the Leafs in their Game 7 loss.
Like I said, I really like this team. I think this team is a very good team. To get over that hump, like I said, we have to learn from this Game 7 here going forward, and we will learn from it, and we'll be better. But they're different teams, okay? They're different teams. They're constructed differently than this team, but they're both capable of winning. From a talent standpoint and character and toughness, I call it, we have a lot of that here on this team. And we just have to learn to do things a little bit differently in big games and big moments. And that's the difference of getting you over the hump.
Should be pointed out, some of that was in response to the question was, how is this team similar or different to the St. Louis Blues team that he coached to a championship?
Yeah, good point. So when I looked at this team, when I watched the games, what I see is a team, they're a little bit like what we saw from the Oilers. So when they had the heartbreak loss, I can't remember if it was Colorado or Vegas, maybe both, where it's like, okay, enough. We've got to do something different. We've got to look at this differently about how we approach it. I think of the Marner backhand pass through the neutral zone in Game 5. Like, that can't happen. It's not an option. That can't happen. It's unfair to pick on him, but talk about Marner's from behind his net, throwing a puck to the middle of the ice. Boom, it's in their net 2 seconds later. Can't happen. And when Brewery's talking about those moments, those are the moments that I'm looking at and figuring out. So today, Mitch Marner talking, he's like, I'm going to figure out, we're going to sit down and talk to my wife and figure out what's wrong. He used a lot of past tense, talking about whether he'll be back with time with the Leafs. I get it. Tavares wants to come back. I understand those two things. But I don't think you can bring those guys back, Zubie, or both of them, or maybe one. They have to get a different look, a heavier look. When you look at the team, those top 4 guys, Jeff Merrick said it really well. They're all 4 the same. They're the same style of player. Who's the guy who's really getting in there and fighting for it? Who's the Kopitar? Who's the McDavid digging in and being heavy? Who's the Kachuk? Who, go through teams, the Brad Marchand. Who is the guy? And Zubie, I don't think they have that guy in the top 4 skilled forwards.
No, they certainly don't have that guy. I think Nylander and Tavares have shown it a little bit. I don't think the other two have. So I do kind of feel like when you think about it that way, I think logically with Marner being the UFA, that seems like the logical place to move on. If I was a fan of that team, just the killer still is just losing him for nothing. You're going to lose him. You're going to lose a 100-point player for absolutely nothing. Even if you aren't thrilled with him the way he's produced in the playoffs, I mean, that stings to lose him for zip.
And so this is where I go back, and I believe that's where the mistake happened. This should have been dealt with or altered a while ago, right? And Marner's a really good player. He's had 100 points. I think he had 99 a couple of years ago. I want to say 96. Like he is. Let's say he's going to average 90 points the next 6-7 years. Somewhere in there, 80, 90 points.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's over a point a game. That's a lot of points. He's a really talented player, but it doesn't, just because he doesn't come back or he should have traded him sooner, doesn't mean he's a good player. They need a different look, a different feel in that top. And that's the truth. And Marner's going to go on and do great. He's going to sign a massive deal. He's going to do great things, but I don't think he can, I don't think he can be your lead singer. And B, you have to look at what else you have. You can't have the same style of player spent with so much money.
Yeah. And I think it's worth pointing out also, of course, there's, I don't know if it's ever been 100% confirmed, but it sounds like they did try to move Marner. They tried to move him for Rantanen by all accounts. And he executed his no trade clause and kiboshed that. And what I was also going to say is when you look at at least Marner, Nylander, and Matthews, none of them have ever played for another team either. So it's hard to also say those guys might find success somewhere else outside of this system or this city or this organization for whatever reason. I don't think it's fair either to tab those guys yet as guys who can't get it done. They just haven't got it done in this spot for whatever reason. And if it's team chemistry or whatever it is, I'm not ready to label those guys as playoff busts yet. Yeah. I think they could all find it somewhere else, but it doesn't seem to be working this group, this team at this time.
One final thought. When Jack Guy goes with Buffalo, people were like, bad attitude, doesn't try hard. Goes to Vegas. Now people think he's one of the greatest players in the NHL, which he always was. It wasn't working in Buffalo. And Marner's put the points up, but I think going somewhere else for him and the team will be the best thing. But as I said, Zubes, this should have been done a couple of years ago and got something back that you can use now. And that's the mistake they made. Zubie, where are we going to next, buddy?
We're going to go back a couple days here to the handshake line post-game of Dallas and Winnipeg. And this was really interesting to me because you don't often get sound from the handshake line. So often you get to see them, you kind of see them mouthing, you might pick up a little bit, but you don't usually get the actual sound. So this was Pete DeBoer going through the handshake line, and listen to it, and then I'm going to have a question for you, Struds. Here we go.
Jenner, great job, man. Go get yourself a cup. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good job, Cole. You're playing a great year, eh, man?
Good luck. I'm rooting for you.
Good job, hey. Thanks, buddy. Hell, love you, buddy.
Love you too. Good luck, man.
Played great. Thank you. What a goalie.
Thank you.
Awesome,
Thank
man.
you. Win it for us.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys. You guys did such a good job.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Arnie, Coach of the Year, man.
Do me a favor. Go get the cup, all right? Go get the cup, please.
Okay. Oh, that's not that. Here we go. So, you heard lots of, to me, what felt like very genuine. Go get it. Go win it. Do it for us. So my question on that to you, Struds, was just like, is that just lip service? Is that just what you say? It didn't feel like that. It felt like a little bit more than that. Or is that the result of some personal relationships that maybe go back further in time? Or is there any part of it that's just like, these are the guys that beat us, so I'm rooting for them now?
There's nothing worse than losing to someone and then having that team lose to someone else. So that means you're the loser. Like it's a better feeling when you lose to the Stanley Cup champions. And the Oilers have had this feeling, before. They lost to Vegas, they lost to Florida. They've had that feeling. So it's always better to lose to the team that ends up winning it all, because at least you can say, well, we lost to the best. When you, like, for instance, let's say that Dallas, they lose to Edmonton and that Edmonton lose to Florida. Well, that means Dallas was even close. You're not even really close to it, right? You're a couple bricks away from making it happen. So yeah, I want to be the team that loses to the best. I don't want to lose, but if I'm going to lose to the team that was the champion or is the champion, Zubes.
Yeah, I guess so. I couldn't imagine if that was an Oilers Vegas handshake and that Vegas had knocked out the Oilers, that they'd all be telling them to go get another one.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think there is a lot of respect in those lines. Like I've been in a couple, and you're obviously disappointed, but I mean, you tried your best. I remember one time we spanked, I think it was Atlanta 4-0. And like that handshake line was a joke. Like they were terrible. They weren't a good team, and we knew we were going to beat them, and no one was happy, right? It was a formality for us, and for them, it was like, we suck. But then I also lost to the Devils one time 4 straight. And that was very uncomfortable because we hated the Devils. They hated us. And although Richard Matvichuk asked if I could come to his golf tournament, which was really weird. But at the end of the day,
handshake line, he asked you?
In the handshake line. And you know what? I never got the invite either. I was like, I guess so. Just send me an email. And he never did reach out. So that broke my heart. Okay, so what's next here? This is very interesting, and I think it speaks a lot to what this franchise thinks about the Olympics.
Yeah, we got 2 stories kind of coming from the NFL, but let's go to the first. It sounds like the NFL has given its blessing to allow players to play flag football, which will now be a sport in the 2028 Olympics. It's a resolution that still has to be approved by 24 of the 32 teams. They've been doing flag football now at the Pro Bowl, and if anyone who's ever played flag football, who played real football and flag football as I did, knows that flag football is the closest thing of any of those other games to the real thing, and it's awesome, and it really shows skill. And for the NFL players to go to the Olympics to do this would be such a huge deal.
It's huge, and imagine the NFL wanting their players or allowing their players to go there because they want to show off their athletes on a different stage. I think this should, maybe open the eyes to the NHL and what they think they're doing. I think it's humongous because now you get some of those players' helmets off, whether it's in interviews or in whatever, walking in and out of the event. It's very, very cool. One thing I thought was really neat about this, Sue, is that they'll make sure everyone has insurance and all that. But if a player is injured while participating in this, the team gets a cap credit for that. So I thought that was a really interesting detail that the NHL might want to look at.
Yeah.
So let's say Jason Strudwick goes over to the Olympics and blows his knee out and he's out, you get a cap credit right away. Just put it on the sidelines and you can bring someone else in right away. And I really like that. Now I know the NHL does have LTIR, but I think the wording for me, Jason Strudwick's out, gone, bring in the new guy. There's no worries about it because you are technically doing it for the greater good of the league.
Right.
So each team has to have a little bit of a ability to be, fluctuate with their cap there.
Yeah, certainly looking back at the 4 nations from this year, which was lauded, of course, for the wonderful play and intensity that came out of that. But there were a number of injuries that came out of that. And again, you said there was some LTIR considerations, but I think if there was a blanket, I think teams would feel better about sending players there if it was phrased in that way. The other point I wanted to make on that, on the Olympics, is which team do you think will feel better than them about themselves at the end of those Olympics? The team in the bronze medal match who goes out and wins bronze, whatever country that may be, or the team that gets annihilated by the United States in the gold medal game to win silver and loses like several 100-3 or whatever? Which team do you think will feel better about themselves?
Yeah, in the semifinal, whoever isn't playing against USA, the other team, like you'll walk off, say, "Congrats, you're getting silver, and we're fighting for bronze." Like it's not. And I've coached in tournaments where like we knew we weren't going to win, right? The other team's just better, but at least you're putting up a fight. And you know what? We saw this a bit with NBA, right? When they sent their players to Olympics, some of those dream teams were ridiculous, stacked with Hall of Famers. You know, I'm not sure that other countries will have quite as many Hall of Famers as the U.S. team. But I think this is, I am going to tune in to watch these guys play flag football.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely humongous.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Absolutely. And the one other quick note from the NFL is our old friend, the tush push. And it sounds like, now this is so strange to me that they attach another team to it instead of just like, I don't know, a House resolution or whatever, but they attach the Green Bay Packers to it. The Packers are the team suggesting the changing of the rule that would eliminate the tush push. And they originally, I think they had 16 teams on board. They've changed it to say basically you can't push or pull the ball carrier in any way. They changed the wording. It used to say right at the start of a play. They took that wording out. So now it's at any time, and they feel like for whatever reason that's going to get them to 24 of the 32 votes. There's two teams that should be mad about this. One is the Eagles, of course, because they created a play, they perfected it. It was within the rules, within the rule book, and nobody could stop it. And there's also, they've studied, there's apparently no more injury risk in this play. And then they're going to change the rules to take the play away. And the other team that should be mad is the Packers, because boy, do they look like chumps. They lost, of course, to the Eagles in the playoffs this year. Couldn't stop it. We're changing the rule. So I don't know. They look like worse than chumps. I forget what the other word I was going to use was. There's some not as politically correct terms I could have used, but those are the two teams I think look really bad in this. But I think it's gonna happen, Struds.
It looks like it's coming down, and it's such a specific play. You know, one of many. And if I don't like it when you change the rule because someone else is doing it better than you or something you can't defend. Figure out a way to defend it. And the piece that I think is really interesting, where you spoke about and I read it, was the injury concerns, because it's always about the injuries. Right? We don't need guys getting injured for not no reason, but on things that can be avoided. But it sounds like there aren't many related to this play. So, yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. But the Packers are passionate about it. Absolutely passionate about that and making cheese heads. So very, very important. Okay, we're almost at Ask Struddy, so get those in now on the YouTube stream. A great YouTube stream this morning or this afternoon. Mm-hmm. Let's now get to time to get off the fence. I've been waiting for this one all day long. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products, Alberta's leading supplier of vinyl products. DLR offers premium materials for fences and decks designed to stand the test of time. No rotting, fading, or deteriorating. Whether you're looking for a professional contractor or planning to tackle the project yourself, they have the resources and expertise to help. Canadian owned and operated with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Check them out online at dlrvinylproducts.ca. All right, everybody. There's been a lot of talk about the Leafs here on this podcast. There'll be a lot of Leafs talk about it everywhere, in the lunchrooms, on all the various TSN, all the reporters and all your friends. I'm here to tell you that what is going on right now with these players and how they're being challenged is unfair. Not because they didn't show up and compete. I think they did okay. Not because they didn't know the plays. I think the coach, Craig Brew, had a good plan. The problem is they weren't good enough. They weren't a good enough team to beat the Florida Panthers. Let's just look in net. If you had a draft, would you take Bobrovsky, or would you take Joey Wall, or would you take Stolars? Stolars was a backup to the Bobrovsky last year, and Wall is a good young goalie. I'd probably take Bobrovsky. Now let's move into the D-men. Who would you take? Would you take Morgan Riley? Who else they got? Jake McCabe. Who else they got in there? Sorry?
Tanev.
Carlo, Brandon Carlo, any of those four, Oliver Ekman Larson, would you take those guys before any one of Gustav Forsling, Aaron Ekblad, or Seth Jones? Would you take one of those D-men before any of those three guys? No. I think the answer is no again. So now we have 3 D-men and 1 goalie we've chosen before every other player on the Maple Leafs. Let's move up to the forwards. Matthews is an incredible goal scorer, had an off season for sure. He said he got injured in training camp and it never got better. Okay, but he still can really score. Then you have Marner, then you have Tavares and Nylander. Yeah, 4 good players. Let's look at the other side. Barkov, really good player. Tkachuk, 2-time 100-point getter. You've got Reinhart, 57 goal scorers. You've got Brad Marchand. You've got Carter Hagee. Really good group of forwards. And they're heavy and they're hard. Now, it's hard to argue about the point production from the Maple Leaf side. I may give this a saw-off, but lean toward the Panthers, Zubie, because of the fact how, and not that he has had a great playoff so far, Tkachuk can be heavy, Brad Marchand can be heavy, and Barkov is a really good 200-foot player, as is Matthews. But when you look at Reinhart versus Marner, what's the difference? Is there really a big difference there? One scores a few more goals, one's a little bigger, and one's one. So again, maybe I'll call that a tie, but the D is clear. I think the goalie is clear. They weren't as good of a team. If they would play in Columbus and this team lost, would people be, calling for public inquiries with the government as to why this team didn't win? I don't think so. I think we all have to dial it back. And when I say we all, I'm talking to you, Leafs fans. Your team wasn't good enough to win. And they didn't win. They weren't the better team in this series because they weren't built as good. There's got to be some tweaks to this lineup for sure. But Zoobs, right now, right here, the Leafs weren't better than the Panthers, and it showed through the series.
Yeah, you're speaking to my cousin Leanne in Toronto right now. I texted her before the show. I said, we're gonna have some Leafs talk today, so you might want to get in here for this. She responded to me and said, "Hockey is dead to me." So, but if she's not watching live, I'll re-rack this bit and send it back to her. I think you're bang on. I was thinking the exact same thing. I didn't know your whole spiel, but I agree 100%. On the defense and the goaltending especially. And I think maybe for me, the thing to point out on the forwards is even if the top end talent maybe is a wash, look at who scored in Game 7 for Florida. Seth Jones, a defenseman, a very good defenseman, but not primarily offensive. Anton Lundell, Jona Gadjevich, Luster-Reinen, and then Reinhart is kind of the only guy that scored with a goalie in net as a guy who you would expect a goal from. So that the depth scoring came through even if the top talent canceled each other out. So even if you wanted to point the finger, or as people are, at the Leafs top guys, the Panthers top guys didn't score in that game, in the all or nothing game either, but a number of other guys did.
Yeah, and I love that point because I didn't even talk about, and you did talk about it, the third line. The third line, the 2 Finns and Marchand were the best line in the series. The best line, not the first line, not the second line. The third line was the best line of all 8 lines in this series. So, Leafs fans, I'm here to tell you, I think you've got to give a break to Matthews, give a break to Marner, Tavares, and Willie Nylander, although Willie put up quite a few points. This team wasn't on paper good enough to beat the Panthers. And Noodles said, I didn't think the Panthers played very well to start. Then they got on track and they beat them 4 or 5 games. That's a beatdown, 4 and 5 games. So, yeah, Zoobs, I think that I can't believe this. I'm defending the Maple Leafs team, and people have to take a break. Now, what they do in the offseason, we'll be watching and talking about. I can't wait to see what happens there.
And you know what? I think just a final thought on this, when we look back, as if we've followed the Oilers so closely, when people, when sometimes on Twitter and stuff, people will bring up, these were the Oilers forwards 3 years ago or 4 years ago or whatever. And I'm looking at the Leafs forwards and you see, a Pontus Holmberg in the top 6. You see Steven Lawrence, who's a good young player, Calle Yarncroke, a necessary, two-way forward. But you kind of see those names and you think, yeah, they're not there yet. There's another level to get to that it is rounding out the whole roster. When we look at the Oilers roster now with more of the Corey Perrys and the Trent Fredericks and the Evander Kanes, that could be homer talk, but that's how I feel looking at their forwards.
Yeah, and Scotty Lawton, their acquisition at the trade line didn't have the impact I think they expected, and then it's tough. I mean, but there's a lot of work to do there. And Noodles said it best: this team won't look the same on October 3rd, whenever its season starts. All right, now it's time to hear from you. We'll do our best to answer your questions and ask Struddy. Brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's is letting you have it all with their new nacho chicken poutine. Oh, that sounds delish. It's got seasoned chicken, nacho cheese sauce, tortilla strips, cheese curds, and savory gravy, all on their world-famous fries. The nacho chicken poutine is available at McDonald's in Western Canada for only a limited time. You can't wait. You have to get out and get it now. So have it all before it's all gone. Check it out. I'm going to get one today, Zubie. What do you got for us?
Those sound like all things that I would like to eat. So put them together.
Me too. On fries. And I love the fries.
Yeah. Okay, so a few people talking about the Oilers versus Dallas forward depth discussion. Mike Tyson pointing out, could we talk about Dallas's depth? Wyatt Johnson is -13. Matt Duchene is -9. Why are we overlooking this? We know plus minus is not the ultimate decider, but it is surprising to see they only have 2 forwards in the plus. And it's been well documented here that their 5-on-5 game has not been great for a little while. So is it just due factor, or do you think it's the nature of the competition they've had to face so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a couple things. And I'm looking at it from this perspective. Heiskanen and Harley play together. And then it's CC and Lindell. And then they've got a kind of a rotating group of 3 at the bottom with, guys like Bishal and Petrovic. So I don't think that D is as good as the Oilers D. So I believe it'll happen. If things are going well for the Oilers, you'll see Harley and Heiskanen split up to have more mobility and puck moving on 2 pairs. Can't overlook what Klingberg and Wallman have meant to this group. They move the puck extremely well. And your transition, your breakouts from your own zone, they fuel your offense. You have to get out of your zone quick to get up the ice and put pressure on the other team. So having both of them on the same pairing, Heiskanen and Harley, I think that if it gets changed, that tells me Dallas believes they're having a tough time, because look who the other guys play with. If Heiskanen's out there mostly with Mikko Rantanen, which is sick, by the way, those 5 together, just like before Klingberg came and Wahlberg came to the Wallman, not Wahlberg, when they came to Oilers, the Oilers didn't transition the puck quick enough. Now, if they do have that. So I think that's something that's really limited them. So maybe we'll see them split even earlier, maybe to start the series.
And I should grab the Mike Tyson comment. I should shout out Aaron St. Pierre. He's been in on this, had lots of good statistical additions to the same sort of narrative. He adds here, Dallas is 30% on the power play and has a top 3 PK, basically. So special teams for the Oilers, or avoiding it, might be the key.
Yeah, well said, Aaron. But, as I mentioned at the top, Ekholm would help the PK a lot. It's not going to help the PP. It's going to help a lot. He understands it. He'll get into place. The second part is the power play. I heard Leon talking about it yesterday, and they have to be more dynamic. And that's kind of something I talked about after the last game. They're not really moving. They're stagnant, and the Oilers at their best, to use Rob Brown's term, they're playing road hockey. Guys are in a changing position, moving. The puck is moving quick, and it's tape to tape. When you're stagnant, it allows a defender like myself to get into place and not have to move too much. That's what we want to do, because the more you make us move, the more chance there is that we move out too far, and now there's a passing lane in behind us, and you're zipping that puck through there, and that's where it happens the best. Walking to the top and looking for Connor to pass to Leon, everyone's stagnant, it's not there, and the goalie will get across for that save, and or a stick will block that pass.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Calvin C. saying, I hope the Oilers go after Ben like they did with Peter Angelo. Hyman, your new target is Ben. You just talked about the Harley Heiskanen pairing too. Do you think there's a discussion to target a guy, or do you think it's just let's hit everybody, or this guy really doesn't like it, or or we want them to split up this pairing? What's going on in the planning of who gets the receiving end of the most physicality?
I don't think you go out of your way to hit Jamie Benn. If it's there, you take it. You go out of your way to hit Heiskin and Harley. You have to make it really hard for them. Really hard. Get in their face. Drive the net. Stand in the blue paint. Make them push you out of there. Make them work hard for every inch. If you're in the corner, you pass it up to the D-man. Drive the net so they have to stop you and battle in there because they're going to play massive amount of minutes. So if Jamie Benn's there, yeah, take it, but go out of your way to hit those two guys. You have to get bodies on those two guys to make their life living hell. Like I think Pietrangelo, it was a really hard series for him. They finished every check on him.
Going back to some of the comments that Schauger made about the guys kind of taking their own narrative with some of those, pretty reasonable seeming questions. Nuckbo says, he's got a couple here I'm going to kind of mix together. He says, most of the defensive praise comes with the added line, I know you guys have been dog shit in the past, but so I can see why they're so mad. And he adds, if I tell you, you made me a great steak, you'd be less happy with me if I said, compared to the burnt pile of crap you fed me last week. Very funny. And Aaron St. Pierre also adding, let them take it personally. They're trying to get and stay angry because they play better angry. I love it. Do you think there's anything to that to it? Are they trying to find something, or is it just it genuinely frustrates them? So they're just not holding back and letting it out.
I think when they came to the league, their defensive game wasn't their focus. And I get it. You're wheeling and dealing. You're an offensive player. And then you try to do it and people didn't recognize it. And I think that's frustrating, right? It's like, you try to lose some weight and no one recognizes, like, what the hell's going on here? I've lost 10, 15 pounds. How come no one's, looking at me saying how I've done it? So I think that they get frustrated about it because they feel like they've dealt with that issue and it's a non-issue anymore. And they take pride in it. So they take it personally that, they're prideful. They want to show people they've got it done. They feel like they've got it sorted out, but it's just not quite sinking in that they do it. They feel like they do it more often than they don't.
Okay. Last question here, and then we'll get to a couple of fun comments we got. T-Man, this is going back, of course, to what we saw in Toronto. T-Man says, haven't seen a home team's fans in the playoffs leaving and booing and throwing jerseys mid-second period like Laughs Leafs fans since Knucklehead fans in 2011. We don't need to get into that. But I don't think anyone's thinks that isn't bad fan behavior. It was bad. For them to, at the end, come in to do their final salute with about a third of the crowd there and what's left booing them. Or is that bad fan behavior, or is that all above board because you paid for a ticket?
Yeah, I mean, you paid for it. You can do what you want, unfortunately. And listen, I played in rinks that we got booed out of. I also had some where we were raised up like conquering heroes. So it goes both ways. But I'll go back to what I said and, get off the fence. The team wasn't good enough to beat Florida. The team wasn't good enough to win the Stanley Cup. But I believe that Leafs fans, just like all fans, go overboard and believe that every year they have a chance to win. They didn't. They didn't have a chance to win. I think that's what makes it so hard is they believe they did with the moves they'd made and the things have changed. Now, losing twice 6-1 at home in game 5 and 7, that's a hard one, man. That's a really hard one. And I think that the team does have to compete harder in certain areas. But at the end of the day, you pay the money, you come in the door, other than making it personal, although I guess booing someone for 12 minutes is pretty personal. But going after someone's, family, I think that you can. You are entitled to you're entitled to do what you want. But remember, Mitch Marner, not so much Tavares, Mitch Marner's last memory of being a Leaf was that last period. Does that affect his offseason plans? Maybe.
Imagine if they don't, they go up, they get in 3-1. That's not a great goal. The 4-1 goal is not a great goal either. I thought Woll underplayed it a little. Imagine they don't give that up. Maybe they get another one and they still lose 3-2 in regulation with the goalie out. All right, is what we're talking about now anything like? Is it completely different the way we're talking about this team and this series if it wasn't for the way it ended?
Yeah, well, if they win it, I mean, obviously everyone talks about it. Now, even if they lose 2-1, maybe it feels a little bit better because they put up a good fight. But every Leafs fan right now feels like in the two most important games at home, they didn't come and they weren't ready to. I don't think being ready to play, they weren't ready for the battle that was going to be there, and the Panthers were. I think it was Bill Zito or one of the coaches said our group felt comfortable. It was just another game, but they've been in these for 3 years. They've been battling like that. The Leafs haven't. Unfortunately for them, it looked really bad. And that's what the Leafs fans remember, unfortunately, of their whole year was that.
Okay, a couple fun comments here to wrap it up. Sarah Coles says on this topic, sort of, this is why I like sports, because it's drama that doesn't involve me. That's absolutely right, Sarah. And then I wanted to shout out a couple of we got some great Europe people checking in here because they said, well, this timing works better for me. We got Arky 1404 cheering for the Oilers from Norway. Let's go. And also we got, I think we have heard before from Grant Angel. Hey, Struddy, how are you? I'm in the UK and me and my son love your podcast big time. Thanks for being here, Grant. And thanks to everyone on the stream again today on our off day, throwing it out on a Tuesday and the Struddy's World ites, let's call them. We'll come up with something better than that. Followed us here and were with us here on the stream today. So we appreciate everybody being here.
We love our listeners. We really do appreciate all of you. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you hear, tell a friend. Let them know, and we can build this thing up. We'll be back next Wednesday for another Struddy's World. But tomorrow night, post-game, got your back. Zubie, Brownie, Rishaug, and myself will get you filled in on what happened in Game 1 in Dallas. Thanks to all our sponsors, and thank you, Zubie, for a great day. Anything exciting you want to mention?
No, I'm good. I'm not house shopping. I'm car shopping. I'm pool shopping. I got lots going on with all of that stuff here at home. But no, the exciting thing is the Oilers carry on some earlier games. The kids will get to stay up and watch more of these ones with me.
Love the game time, especially Sunday at 1:00. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you to all our sponsors. You're a huge reason this is able to happen and make it so good. So thank you to all of our sponsors, including Weiss Johnson, our friends over there. So get some sleep tonight. It's going to be a long road, Oilers fans, for the next round. I think it'll be a fun one. We'll talk to you tomorrow night post-game. See you later, everyone. Good night.